Hey YouTube, Alexander here. Thank you for joining me for another video. This time I feel I have the need to speak about an event that took place recently. A lot of people have been talking about it. You know already, if you've seen events recently, that it's Le Mans Virtual. There were some large celebrities there who kicked off about it. There's a lot being said and a lot of blame has been placed. But I think it's all misdirected. It's all on the wrong people. Now, let me explain. So, all of you know about R-Factor. R-Factor was the first moddable title developed by ImageSpace Incorporated, ISI. They created some wonderful games way back in the 90s and in the early 2000s as well, such as F1 Challenge and F1 99, that sort of thing. With R-Factor, they had a lot of success. I mean, a lot of success. It created what we now know as the community around moddable content for sim racing. A lot of those people moved on to Assetto Corsa, and there was a small reason why, and that was the follow-up to R-Factor. Now, ISA tried to create R-Factor 2 in the early 2000s. In 2006, they sort of released some images, some details about what they were working on. Now, at the time, they had R-Factor and R-Factor Pro out there. R-Factor Pro is what they sold to Motorsport teams to build their own platforms on it. It was basically just an engine. They do tend to say that Formula 1 teams used it, but I think Formula 1 teams might have tried it before developing their own solutions. Because with R-Factor Pro and R-Factor, there were a lot of limitations in what the engine was capable of. So when it came to do R-Factor 2, ISI tried to improve the engine, and they called it ISI Motor 2.5. Now, in the process of doing that, they broke the physics engine, they broke the netcode, they broke the audio, and they broke the graphics engine. Now, over the next number of years, they did everything they could to try and fix things, and in 2012, there was a beta launch. Now, that beta launch was semi-successful with a range of problems affecting R-Factor 2, but a few of those were fixed, and then in 2013 it went into a full product launch as still a broken game. So many years later, in sort of the late 2018, 2017 times, a lot of sim racing becomes highly popularized, and a lot of official events organizers start looking at sim racing as a way to get worldwide talent involved in motor racing, no matter where you are, without having the budget necessarily to go race in real events. Gran Turismo was a big player in that arena, to be fair, with a number of stars coming through the GT Academy. But Le Mans didn't really have much of the same sort of thing. So in 2020 they had a go. Le Mans Virtual it was called, and it was to be run on R-Factor 2. Now, at the time, Studio 397 was trying everything they could to try and fix the game. 397 were the renamed and rebranded ImageSpace Incorporated. Now, following Le Mans Virtual, there was a lot of blowout, a lot of hot tensions, and Max Verstappen, once again, calling on the event organisers, calling on the way the event was run, rather than placing blame where it ought to have been. There were a number of server issues back then, a lot of red flags because of it, and it wasn't really an event to speak of. A couple of years later, we have the same situation today. However, the difference is that Motorsport Games bought this broken game from Studio 397 and offhanded development to some Russian company in the hopes that they could fix it. Now, this Russian company haven't been paid in a number of months because there's a war going on between Russia and Ukraine, and of course these people in Russia can't be paid due to EU legislation on all of the crackdowns on the way money goes through to Russia. Basically, you're not allowed to send it. So these people have been told in this studio that if they come across the border and open a bank account elsewhere in Europe, that they can be paid. Of course, being Russian, they're not willing to do that because there's a lot of security issues when they go back home. With that said, all of the blame seems to be either on the Russian studio the event organisers, the event staff, or Motorsport Games themselves. Nobody has come out and blamed ISI or Studio 397 for releasing a broken game in 2013 and failing to fix it after all this time. Now, I believe that that is the fundamental flaw that caused this event to fail. If it goes ahead to be run another year, it needs to change the software. There are many other titles out there, such as Competizione. Granted, they don't have GTP or Le Mans cars, the hypercars don't exist in Competizione, but then there's iRacing, which has a limited number of cars, granted, because they have their purchase to play model. But then we've also got Assetto Corsa. Now, Assetto Corsa has a massive modding community. It's very easy to create models for Assetto Corsa, and it's very easy to make them feel very, very lifelike. Just ask the guys at RSR, or the guys that created the GL Grand Prix Legends mod. There are a lot of great modding teams out there, even making Super Tours, and the old Group C cars, Group B cars exist because of the community on Assetto Corsa. All of these people, once upon a time, that do mods for Assetto Corsa, once upon a time did mods for R-Factor. But they don't do them for R-Factor 2 for the simple reason that the game just doesn't work. The netcode is still faulty. They have server issues because the game has problems, not because the servers have problems. It's not because they were organised poorly, it's because the game is buggy. Now, with that in mind, there's only one thing that will ever fix R-Factor 2, and that's if everybody just puts the game down for 6-7 months. The studio and the developer might realise that there actually are problems that they need to fix if they're going to keep their revenue stream going, and it might incentivise them to do it. Alternatively, it might incentivise them to can the game, but I'm pretty sure that that wouldn't be a loss anyway. So if you're with me in trying to think that the organisers did the best they could, despite poor software, if the drivers that attended did the best they could despite poor software, then, you know, we ought to call out the people that are doing a disservice to the sim racing community and to racing drivers at large. Most in particular is the famous one, Max Verstappen. He had no right to go off on one at the event organisers or the staff. Alex Brundle and co did a wonderful job dealing with a very difficult situation, and Max Verstappen should have been more accommodating, and especially since he's been around in the sim community since at least 2010. I saw him way back then, and he is aware of what R-Factor 2 was. Before he started practicing for this, before he started preparing for this, he was aware of what R-Factor 2 was. In fact, the last time they ran this game for Le Mans Virtual, he was involved. And the time before that, he's very aware of what this game results in when you try to do an endurance event. So for him to blow up, either it was a publicity stunt that was well planned, or it's just Max failing to remember what he's been through before with it and just trying to get a rise out of the community. And that, for me, it just is not. I don't know about you guys. I would love to hear about what you all think in the comments. As well as that, I've got to say thank you. I keep doing this every video, I know, but all of the people that are watching these videos, subscribing, commenting, you guys are doing an awesome job, and I really do appreciate it. So if you're wanting to get involved as well, there is going to be a link on screen that you can see. You can follow along and hit the subscribe button there. If you want to get involved on live video, live content, I do this thing called Twitch. I don't know if you all understand what it is, but basically it's like YouTube designed for live content. And I use Twitch instead of YouTube Live because the platform is better supported to engage you. I don't believe YouTube Live has the same engagement for the people that are involved in the streams that I do. I like to engage my audience. I like my audience to be able to do things with the stream, and that involved multiple cameras this time around, where you guys can change views, do things with the cameras. I'm gonna soon incorporate lights into that as well. So come join me in chat. I mean, if you're not a person that likes a lot of chat online, you can do things with the stream, you can see things that many other people aren't doing on their racing videos. So with that, I will see you on one of the Saturdays between 7 to 9. And I'll see you down in the comments on this video. Don't forget to hit that like, that helps me massively, thank you. And we'll see you for the next video. Thank you very much.